Hi there, it's Carl Irwin, the Common Magician. I've got something interesting to share with you. I'd like to take a look at something real quick. I've got a couple decks of cards here, and you could do this with anybody, and a couple of decks of cards off of the family game shelf would work. And you have each deck mixed up. Have someone shuffle each one and shuffle the other one. It doesn't really matter how they're shuffled at all. And we want to try something here. You know, I've talked a lot about probability on the channel. I love probability. I love things having to do with probability. And we're going to try something here that is incredibly improbable. There are 52 cards in each deck. 52 different values, no jokers. And obviously, to be able to shuffle both decks exactly the same way, these are odds we've talked about a lot before. It's like a number with 67 zeros after it, something like that, and the 52 factorial. It's not really probable that that would ever happen at all. Considerably less probable, or considerably more probable, but still incredibly improbable, is the idea that both of these decks would be shuffled, and a specific card would be shuffled to the exact same place in both decks. Right, one card shuffled to the exact same place in both decks. It would be, you know, a chance, one chance in about 3,000. Highly improbable. But that's exactly what has happened here. Now we want to do a quick control test on this, just as a baseline here. So I'll have you deal the cards face up one at a time right here, and we'll see what has happened. There it is, the 7 of clubs. And like I said, this is highly, highly improbable that this would ever happen, but here it is. You can see that it has happened here. But what's really, really unusual is something else here that I have to point out. Earlier, I wrote something down on a piece of paper, and if you take a look, I wrote a number. It says 14. 14. I didn't know what this meant. But now I can see what it meant. If you look at each of these piles and you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. There it is. You can see at the 14th position in both, we have the 7 of clubs. Yeah, that's it. That's the trick. I don't know. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I don't know. I think I must have been living under a rock to not know about this. Maybe some of you knew about this, but I was under the weather a short while ago, and I had missed a day of work. And while I was at home resting, I got a little bored, and I decided to check out a lecture I'd not seen before. I'd seen some reviews, and it kind of jogged back in my mind. I was actually thinking, what got me on it is I was thinking about an old effect that was sold a while back. 21st Century Canasta is what it's called. It's a kind of a Chan Canasta based plot, and it was sold by Mark Elsden. And I remember when it came out because I saw it and I thought, wow, that's really clever. I kind of knew what it was when I saw it, and it's something that would be very much like something I would do. And I did not purchase the effect, obviously, and I never really did perform that effect in particular, but I did some things like it because I thought it was a really clever idea. But it got me thinking about Mark Elsdon, and that trick popped in my head, and I remembered that he had this Penguin Live from quite a while back. So I got on Penguin and I bought it and I watched it, and it was as good as I expected it to be and as good as some reviews had said it was. And I thought it was a really good purchase. It was a really good thing to do on a day at home, kind of feeling under the weather. But this one trick that he did just really, really caught me off. And this is not really a method. This is not the trick, okay? I'm not giving away one of his tricks because I don't do that kind of thing. This is part of something that he did, and then there's another revelation that to real people, real spectators, would be absolutely bananas. And it's kind of a very commercial effect that he says that he does at gigs, particularly if he has like a home party gig where he's in a house and there's people there. And he will do this effect usually at the end, and then leave them with kind of an impossible situation, right? He'll leave them with a couple of souvenir cards, and I'm not going to talk about that. That's his thing. And when I got to the end of his trick and I saw his final revelation, I said, well, I know as a magician, I appreciate what he's doing there at the end, and I completely knew that. What I didn't understand was this. This was something that happened early in the trick, and he kind of passed this off as no big deal and focused on the last part of it. But I thought this was fascinating, and then he explained what's going on with this. Apparently, the probability that the same card will be at the same position in two completely shuffled decks is a probability of 2 out of 3. It's really probable that at least one card will be at the same position in 2 decks that are shuffled. And I heard him say that, and I was just completely mind blown because that didn't seem like that could be what the odds are. And then I looked up the math to kind of appreciate what is the math behind it, and then I came to understand, well, I guess that is what it is. And even knowing how it mathematically computes, it still doesn't seem like it should be that probable. That seems quite improbable that would happen. Probably because I'm thinking in 1 in 52 kinds of terms, but it's not a 1 in 52 chance. And it's interesting because the way Elsdon talks about it is that he suggests that this always happens, right? That's what he says in his trick. He says, I don't know if you know this, but there's always a chance that one card in 2 decks that are shuffled will always be at the same position. It's a certainty. That's not true. That's actually the lie he's telling, is that it's not a certainty. It's a high probability, but not a certainty. And I saw that part, and that was a part that just absolutely rocked my brain. I could not sort out what was going on there. And then even, like I said, even after he tells the people there in the camera, this is what the odds are, it still doesn't seem possible or likely. But it is what it is. And it occurred to me, man, that's a trick in itself. Like that alone, if you give the right presentation, the right kind of slant on it, the right lie, that is a trick that is hands off. Like you don't have to do anything for that. You don't do anything, right? It just happens. Now there's an additional reveal on there just to help out a little bit. And this can be an out as well, I'll talk about in a minute, because he has an out for his situation, because it is not certain. But I just thought, cheapers, that alone, just the probability of that is super, super strong. I don't know, put in the comments if you were aware of this without having seen that, if you'd ever run into this before. But apparently, and I did test this out, I shuffled some decks and I ran it through, and it came out about 2 out of 3. And more often than not, it was there. I had one time when I had a run of 3 or 4. I'm talking like I did this, 15 times, just to see, where it was negative. But I had a lot more that were positive for this revelation. And I just got to thinking, I thought, well, why would you present it as a certainty? Why wouldn't you present it the other way? So here's my presentation just on this thing. It's something you could do if you just have two decks sitting around. You don't even have to do this reveal at the end. You could really just let this sit. And if you frame it in the right way, it can seem really, really crazy. The way I decided to frame this is that it's highly improbable. I'm going to lie the other way. Rather than lying about its certainty, I'm going to lie about its improbability. And I'm going to put the false any card, any number stats on it, right? Which is 1 in nearly 3,000. It just seemed like a good, like justifiably, I could call 52 times 52 and not really explain how that could work or how it's not true at all. But it just seems like a plausible kind of math for what's going on here. 52 times 52 is, 2,704 or whatever it is. I don't know. So I say 1 chance in nearly 3,000 without getting into it. Knowing that it's actually 2 chances in 3. So what if this doesn't come out right one time? And then I'll get to this in a second. Well, the way I described it was, I said it's highly, highly improbable. It's 1 chance in 3,000. But let's do a quick control test. And when I say let's do a quick control test, it leaves me an out, because we can go all the way through and I can say, and that was our control test, and you can see the unlikelihood of this, right? Okay, go ahead and shuffle them again, and then you get a second hit, and there's another chance that it could hit. And what if it's wrong on that one? My out for that, if it doesn't come out in the next, which you say, and that's it, right? After our control test, you say that's the one right there, that's the revelation. And really lean in on it. If it doesn't come out right then, on the second time, my third out is, you know what I think is wrong? I think you needed 1 more shuffle. Could you pick up the red deck and shuffle it 1 more time? Leave the blue one alone. Go ahead and count through these again. And then you don't really have to shuffle both decks every time, right? You really only need to shuffle 1 deck for the odds to recalculate. It doesn't matter, it's still a shuffle deck against another shuffle deck. So if you change the properties of one, you still have the same probability. So I could say, I think you needed 1 more shuffle on that one. Can you shuffle that just 1 more time, run it 1 more time, and then do it again? And then if it doesn't come out, then you need to have some other kind of out. Now that gets to this here. So anyway, I just wanted to share that thing with you. It's not a method. It's not a Mark Elsdon method thing. It's just a factual element of probability. And I love probability. I'm going to look at another probability thing in a minute. I really love to find... I hate math. It's really so funny. I really despise math. I'm so terrible at math. I can't even do simple head math very well, especially under pressure. But I really love mathematical principles that can be dressed up. And this is just another one that can be dressed up. So this here is pocket writing. That's it. We'd been talking about, a few months back, I was talking about thumb writing and some things I was looking at in thumb writing. I've never talked about this, and I'm not going to talk about it in depth. I will just point you to Banachek's work on pocket writing. Obviously, because I'm at a table, I can get away with this a lot better because I can write it right down here, and I get it deposited where I want it to be. But pocket writing as an out is a really solid out, unless you want to do thumb writing as a universal out. You could do that too. You could have as we've talked about, a windowed envelope with a slip inside of it, and you could take it out and you could write whatever the number is. And what I'm doing is I'm just counting as we cycle through. I'm counting to see when we're going to hit the same card in the same spot. And when that happens, I just write down the number whatever that is when we get there. So we cycle through, eventually we get a hit. I don't know that we'll get a hit on this. I actually didn't shuffle them, I just put the packet back together. But I would be counting very carefully on each turn so that whenever we get to the spot where it does hit, I can note that number and write down the number. It's a lot easier to write a number than it is to write a value in a suit. This just demonstrates just why in my mind it doesn't seem probable at all. It's really curious as you go through this, the number of times you see things off by one. It's like half a dozen times things are off by one. Here we go. So I mean, technically that counted as one and three of no, even though I had counted through the stacks and put them back on reverse counted. I had messed up the one chance, but that should have created another probability, another chance between those packets going back on top and what was left, and it came out as dud. So let's see what we get here. Bang! It's like the first one, and that's strong right there. I mean, it gives a lot of opportunity. So, I mean, if that would happen right there, you would really want to lean in on that and say you can see immediately the improbability coming to fruition. And then what I would do, and what's curious about this, and you could pocket write 1, right, or top, TOP, whatever fits, and then you just deposit it wherever you want to pull it out from. This is the Banachek thing. But anyway, I would point you to Banachek's work on this pocket writing stuff. There are 2 places you can find it. I'm not a review channel, and I don't review stuff. I do recommend that Mark Elsdon Penguin Live lecture if you can find it. It's, for as much as it is. I remember it was like almost $30, $20 to $30, something like that. Banachek sells pocket writing as a download for like $20. I can't remember the name of his lecture on that. But it actually uses elements of his Penguin lecture. It does the demonstration of it from that lecture, and then he talks essentially about all the exact same things. There's a PDF download that comes with it as well that has a few more ideas in terms of presentation. But I have to say, everything you need to know about his brand of pocket writing, and it's probably the only good brand there is, because he's one of the few people that's very serious about doing it. Everything he has to say about it is in his Penguin Live lecture. So get the live lecture rather than the pocket writing download. That's my recommendation. So anyway, pocket writing as an additional out for this kind of a thing. But just that by itself, even without the out, if you could construct a way to give yourself enough opportunities to get that 2 chances and 3 hit one time, that just seems so improbable to me, but it's actually highly probable. It's a really, really strong, just intuitive method that, I don't know, intuitive is the wrong word. It's a really strong natural method. It's really not even a method. It's just a natural truth that can be taken advantage of. And the lie of the improbability, the addition of that razzle, as I like to call it, it's the lying about the odds that gives you the real method. That's the real method is actually the tall tale about the odds, right? So anyway, I don't know if you've heard about this before, go ahead and comment. But if you've not, I wanted you to know about that. That's really, really, I think that's pretty great, and I'll always remember that for an impromptu moment. But talking about other things related to odds or improbability, and I love improbability. Or probability type methods. Here's another one. I don't know. I tried to come up with some kind of a plot for this. I don't have a very good plot. I don't like story plots at all, but if I were to come up with one, I'd say, your Batman's sidekick. Your Batman's sidekick. And, Batman needs you, right? Bruce Wayne, he needs you, right? You have overheard some secret code, and you need to deliver the message so that the code can be utilized and his arch nemesis, the Joker, can be caught. I need you to tell me the code. What I want you to do is I want you to put up both hands and put up a different number of fingers on either hand. And so we'll just do this. Dice have 6 on each, of course, so that can't do that. So I'll do this. So we've got what? 13. 13, 1, 3. Okay, that's the code. And now you're sure that's the code, right? Okay, 13. So what we're going to do is we're just going to count 13 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 9. 9. Your code gets us to that number. Now this is fascinating because if we look here very quickly and we count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, we find the Joker. We find the Joker. We've caught the Joker, and we've caught him red-handed. So this is a really, really corny application of improbability. Actually, high probability masked as improbability. So what it is it's very simple. There's only 10 possible real keys. There's only 10 possible choices that they can make with their hands, but it doesn't seem like that. It seems like it's a number, between 1 and 99. It's you can even frame it in that way after it's given. We just need a number. We needed a number between 1 and 100, and that's what you came up with. And if you think about this in terms of hands, there is an out in terms of perspective. There's a perspective from this side, but there's a perspective from their side. So in this case, if they put up 1 and 3, that's 13, but it could be 31. But we're going to go with the lowest possible variant each time. So if you count with me, given that there's different fingers on both hands, the lowest variant is 12. Let me put it in your perspective. 12, right? 13, that's 2. 14, that's 3. 15, that's 4. Now if we go up to 2 on this side, we've already done this one, and this one can't be done. There's that one, and that one. And then if we go up here, we can't do this one, or this one, so it leaves us with that one or that one. See how they decrease every time. And then we go to this, and then that only leaves us with that. 4 and 5, 45. So what we have here is a stack. And I had to include one Joker in this to make it come out right. So if I take out all of the jacks, 9s, and 10s, jacks, 9s, and 10s, and we don't want to really depend on the jacks. We want to depend on the 9s and the 10s. So we have Jack, 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 4 10s. I'm missing a couple 9s here. 9. And one more 9. And then, like I said, I had to include a Joker to make the math come out right. I'm going to put this way up at the top. So what we do is we need to have a stack, obviously, of hits at those 10 locations, provided that we always take the lower possible number of the combination that they come up with. We always present it in the proper perspective. Either it's the lowest number from our perspective looking at the hands, or we call out the number from their perspective, whatever gives us the lowest number and gives us those 10 outs. So here's our outs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. The first one is 12. then 13, then 14. So I have 9, 10, Jack, 14, and then 15. 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21 we've already used, 22 we can't use, 23, 24, and 25. 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32 we've already used, 33 we can't use, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40. We're actually out because 45 is the last one, right? Now the way this works, and you could use the 9s and 10s and just use one outlier Jack because you have 10 possible outs, and the 10th out is going to be the actual perfect hit. What we need to do is put this 10th from the bottom. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and now we're there. Okay, so you could just use one Jack because Jack was going to be used for 10, but to have a better out, you probably use the 4 9s, the 4 10s, one Jack, so that only happens one time. But we'll leave it the way it is right now. So I've got hits at all of them except for the very last one, which is 45, and that's where the card is at. So false shuffle, false cut, give us the number. It doesn't matter what they give us. 15, we always take the lower possible out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 gives us 9. Turn the deck over. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So it's either the next or it's at, if it's 10 for 10 or 10 for Jack, 9 for 9. And then we show the card. We can show all the other cards face up and on back is very important because we caught the Joker red-handed. So anyway, really, really lame card trick. Just using this just to kind of illustrate these high probability possibilities out there, right? Now, 10 outs is a lot worse than 2 chances and 3. Yet this seems like it's so much more improbable to me, anyway. I mean, I just don't. I don't know anybody out there that looks at what I'm talking about with this one card at 2 shuffled decks and instantly realizes that it could be 2 out of 3. I mean, I don't know what kind of thinking goes into recognizing that. This seems like something that can be framed as so improbable. That just seems like a better presentation for me. 10 outs for numbers on hand. If you use all the lowest values, use that any way that you want. Anyway, some information on pocket writing. Highly recommend Banachek live lecture. Yeah, that's it. Wanted to share a few things with you. Haven't posted in a little bit here in the last week, and I had some time to do it tonight. So there you go. Some ideas for you. Good luck with that. Happy magic.